So hello YouTube. So today I'll be explaining the psychology of game theory, game theory. So I'll explain what game theory is. Game theory is, to put it put it quite clearly, is to do with statistics. It's got to do with how the computational theory modeling of potential outcomes of a situation. Example would be, okay, I've got game theory suggests like there's a human and then they got choice between 1, 2, 3. What choice do they make, and what's statistically what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen to each situation? So I'll give a good example of what I've done in my life and how it's turned out. So, for example, in my life, this is called game theory's psychology. Tip 1: don't look at the numbers. Don't look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. The numbers. Okay. Excuse my writing, but in this culture, in the culture we live in, there's a overemphasis on numbers. Numbers. It's like look at this. Think about this, right? Oh, the superstar scored scored like XYZ points. But I'll tell you what professional coaches, what I myself am a professional coach, and I'll tell you what I look for when I look for a player. I look at what's called a utility value. Okay, points is only one factor in utility value of a player. Therefore, you can't. So like people say, numbers don't lie. This guy's gonna get the like first pick in the draft, blah blah blah. But the matter of fact is, you have to always look at the utility value of the player. So how do you? So I'll give an example of this. I made a guide on what's it called? I made a online guide about an online game, MMORPG, and what I realized is that there's no point looking at how many views I got. How many views I got is not going to change. It's not going to change anything. It's just how many views it's got. I just write what I think, and then the views when it gets all the views in the world or gets no views, that's not for me to decide. And only the number of views I get is just a reference. It's just called a reference. Just a reference on, okay, this is about where I'm at. And and I realized there's no point looking at the how many views I get. Maybe I may check it like once every 2 months or so when I update the guides and stuff. But regardless, what I realized as a numbers guy, numbers don't matter. Well, it only doesn't matter when you get to a point when you understand, when you've been through enough numbers. It's like this. It's like someone saying, money doesn't matter, or someone saying health doesn't matter. Who's the people who say health doesn't matter? Who's the people who say money doesn't matter? Who's the people who say you get the gist, right? But this theme is not applicable to everything. It's like saying some people say brains don't matter. Well, that's usually the dumbasses who usually say that, right? But predominantly, I'm talking about themes of what can be measured metrically, and views is not something that's metrically an indicator of how to view things. And in game theory statistics, this is so important. When managing any pro player, and like they already. It's like sometimes you gotta tell them like the numbers do matter, but sometimes it doesn't matter. And it's up to the coach to make those decisions. And as a coach, I understand this. That numbers do matter, but it doesn't matter. I'll tell you when it matters and when it doesn't matter. That's the first rule of, psychology of game theory. The second rule I'll discuss here on game theory the game theory is there is a right or wrong answer. You know, this is I'm breaking pretty much every rule that everyone else tells you. Everyone else will tell you there is no right or wrong answer to liberal questions, or there's no right or right answer to open-ended questions. Actually, to open-ended questions, there is a right and wrong answer. There is a right and a wrong. I'll tell you what's right and wrong. Okay, I'll ask a question. So, for example, let's say I want to say, what's your views on poor, let's say something not controversial that's going to stir everyone, but let's just make a hypothetical example. What's your views on, how should mathematics be taught in school? Okay, let's say that's, and let's try to use game theory. Okay, because we're using statistics. Statistically, there'll be like 1, 2, 3 answer, and most people will give the PC answer, and there's one people who just say, just like I don't know, and then there's the outlier. Who is usually right? It's usually the PC who's usually right. The people who say the PC answer is usually right, because what is right and wrong, I'll tell you, predominantly for the majority of people, right and wrong is based on PC answers. It is. Give the stock model answer. But when you get to the pro levels, it's not about the stock standard. I mean, you have to know the stock standard answer, but you do also have to know how to use the outliers, correctly. I'll give an example. I'll say this, right? How to teach mathematics at school. The PC answer is this. Make them solve many questions, cues, and then you make them they do exam questions, go over problem sets, and then for let's say keep on looking at your grades. This is what PC mathematics. That's how they say they teach you mathematics, for example, in the high school curriculum, or even in university, for example. Okay, and most people say, or people who have no idea just say, I don't know. But that something. I'll tell you what I'll say. I'll say how to teach mathematics. This is how you teach mathematics. You don't look at exams. You don't look at questions. You don't look at the answers until you get until this is all secondary to this way of thinking. That's how you teach maths. How you teach maths. For example, I'll give an example. Okay. Let's say something like, let's say some. I'll be frank. I haven't done maths in a very long time. Let's say I'm doing parabola. What's called? Two parabolas is point of we're trying to find the point of intersection between 2 points, for example. Okay, point of 2 intersections. School will tell you, you plug in the formula, and then you use the calculus equation to make x equal y, and then if you get the 2 points correct, you get A, B, and C answer. That's how they tell you to solve mathematical equations, which I think is absolutely garbage in this way of a solution set, because this is how I think this is the way to teach. This is my philosophy, but this is the way it should be done in schools, for example. But this is, for example, okay. What you say is, what is the correct questions? What is the focus? And then why is the intersection? What's the point of intersection, and what's the modeling, abstract modeling? Because this looks just like a calculus question. It looks like a calculus question, calculus question, but it's actually it's an abstract question. It's an abstract question because point of intersection is based not on it's not on calculus. It's based on modeling. It's called a model modeling on continuation factors, continuation of modeling, where the parabola, for example, is never ending. That has unless there's a restriction put on this thing will just keep on fucking going on, and the other thing will keep on going on, and therefore the first thing to think about is what's the scope of this whole parabola before you even try to make the intersection point, because until the abstract of the modeling is put into a scope point, you can't solve the question. I don't think you can solve the question. It's not solvable. And people laugh. I've told this to many people, and they laughed. People who don't understand mathematics, they'll say, "What are you saying?" The obvious answer, it says the intersection point is x, x, y. But until you actually put a cap range, because it's infinity, because of the infinity factor because it's a model, you can't solve the question. And until you understand that first, you can't solve the question. And then you go through the modeling system of what I've said before, prior to, what is the focus, and so what's it called? Yeah. So what I'm saying, so what is the focus? So how do you put the abstract point of intersection? That's how you solve it. You can't solve these questions by using. I mean, you can solve by calculus, but the question itself is not based on the calculus factors. It's based on abstract principles of intersection theory of. I think this question itself is asking about it's called when two. What's that called? A diagram model. Yeah, this is more got to do with diagram model. This question is more of a two circles, intersection, or union. That's more of a question that this question is asking than actually the financial modeling work. And this has got to do with a lot of finance 101, and this is how to view it.